Hey there, welcome to our video on the Great Game. The Great Game is a term used to describe the political and diplomatic competition between the British Empire and the Russian Empire in Central Asia during the 19th century. It was a time of intense rivalry between the two superpowers as they vied for control of this strategically important region. In this video, we will take a closer look at the history of the Great Game and the key players involved. The Great Game began in the early 19th century, as both the British and Russian empires expanded their territories into Central Asia. The British had already established a presence in India, and were keen to prevent the Russians from gaining a foothold in the region. Meanwhile, the Russians saw Central Asia as a way to extend their influence and gain access to the warm waters of the Indian Ocean. Over the course of several decades, the British and Russian empires engaged in a complex game of espionage, diplomacy, and military maneuvering in Central Asia. Both sides used a variety of tactics to gain an advantage, including the establishment of diplomatic missions, the funding of local allies, and even outright military conflict. The key players in the Great Game were the British and Russian empires, as well as various local rulers and tribal leaders in Central Asia. The British were represented by figures such as Sir Alexander Burnes, a British diplomat who traveled extensively throughout Central Asia in the early 19th century, and Sir Henry Rawlinson, a British army officer who played a key role in deciphering ancient Persian texts. The Russians were represented by figures such as Ivan Ivanovich, a Russian general who played a key role in the Russian expansion into Central Asia, and Nikolai M. Przhevalsky, a Russian explorer who traveled extensively throughout the region. The Great Game had a profound impact on the history of Central Asia and the surrounding regions. It resulted in the establishment of new borders and the partitioning of territories, as well as the creation of new political entities such as Afghanistan and the various Central Asian republics. It also had a lasting impact on the relationship between the British and Russian empires, which continued to be characterized by tension and rivalry in the years that followed. This rivalry was a major factor in the lead-up to World War I, and the legacy of the Great Game can still be felt in the region today. In conclusion, the Great Game was a fascinating and complex period in the history of Central Asia. It was a time of intense rivalry between the British and Russian empires, and it had a profound impact on the region and the wider world. By understanding the history of the Great Game, we can gain a better understanding of the complex geopolitical forces that have shaped our world today. Thanks for watching.